Hi, hello, welcome back to Bioenergetics and Body-Based Therapy with me, Devraj. I want to start off today just by giving you a little update about the channel because those of you who know me or who regularly follow my content and newsletters and all that know that I've been traveling a lot the last couple of years, and so I haven't been creating so much kind of workout content or this exercise content, but more just kind of talking about therapy stuff. But that is soon going to change because I've got myself a flat now in Istanbul and I'm going to be here for a while and maybe travel from here. And my plan for while I'm here is to create more kind of active content. I need to set up a back room to be a little studio and I haven't done that yet. And I've hurt my arm down the gym, doing too much bench pressing. So there's a little bit of sofa in the corner here. Anyway, to get back to this video's content, we're going to start looking at the eyes because I was looking through the 70 plus exercises that I created for the Bioenergetics series, and I realized there wasn't very much about the eyes in there, and I actually know some really powerful eye exercises, so I'm going to do a couple of videos on those. And so this video is going to be about eye rotation, which is an excellent and very powerful technique which actually doesn't involve you moving your body at all. It just involves you moving your gaze or your pupils around. The eyes are very interesting in body-based therapy because they're pretty much the only part of us where we can create some movement, very small amounts of movement, and get a really disproportionate level of change. I mean, all of bioenergetics is about getting a disproportionate level of change to some degree. You know, finding a movement which opens up a muscle group or stretch, which opens up a muscle group, which creates more change than you would expect. But with the eyes, the level of change from the level of movement is really pronounced. And what it seems to be, I'm not an expert on the neuroscience of it, but it seems to be that eye movements, specific eye movements, allow us to access different parts of the brain. And specific eye movements can even remove trauma or some of the charge and memories associated with trauma from our system. And when I say remove, I of course mean make them conscious so that we can feel, so that we can experience, and we can process and move on. Before I get to actually demonstrating the exercise, what I want to say is don't take this exercise lightly. We will only be moving our gaze, but don't let that convince you that nothing is happening. I've been running exercises like this for a good decade or so, and it is extremely common for people to come back to me, like often the next day or later in the day, and say, like, my God, that exercise really spun me out. You know, I didn't realize it at the time, but later on I was just in chaos and I had to lie down and spend the afternoon in bed. So what I recommend with this exercise is to take it gently to start with. Do the technique for like a minute in each direction, and then have some relaxation time, and then just see how it is later in the day or the day after, rather than jumping in doing like 5-10 minutes of eye rotation work when you're actually not used to it. Maybe it accesses and stirs up stuff that you're not quite ready to process. So that little warning is important. Now let's get to the actual technique itself. It's really simple. What we're going to be doing is rotating our gaze whilst keeping our head relatively stable. I say stable as opposed to rigid or fixed because ideally we're not locking our neck, but we're trying to keep our head just looking straight ahead, and then to move our gaze around both eyes at the same time to take in the periphery of the room. Now there are techniques which ask you to do this at quite a speed, but this is not quite the same. How we're going to do it is to extend our gaze to the max, which means, you know, the furthest part of the periphery that we can take in, but to do it at such a speed that we can just about take in what we see. It's not all just a kind of blur. Let's take a look what it looks like. I'm just moving my eyes in a counterclockwise direction. What I notice straight away, as soon as I start, I lock my throat slightly. Then I have to correct that and breathe a little more. I was breathing with my nose. You can breathe with your nose or your mouth. But it's important to check that when you do the technique, that you are still breathing. It's common to actually hold the breath as we start to move the eyes in this way, and that seems to be some kind of nervous system response because we're activating energy inside the body. So this exercise is done to a 1-minute ding track, And what you do is you go around one direction for a minute, clockwise or counterclockwise, anti-clockwise, whichever you wish. And then you have a 1 minute break where you just close your eyes and sit. And then you open your eyes again at the ding and you go around the other way. And then you just take 2 minutes just to relax. You can also lie down for the end phase. So that's really just 5 minutes of exercise when you first do it. And then if you wish to, and if it's not provoking more material, so to speak, than you can easily comfortably process, then you can do it for longer, which means you can either do 2 minutes in each direction with a break in between, or you could do more reps and even remove the break in between. So you do 1 minute counterclockwise, straight into 1 minute clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, 6 minutes, and then you take 3 or 4 minutes break. Lying down, I recommend just feeling your body with your eyes closed. Okay, great. So just to recap with this technique, you try to keep your head relatively stable. It won't keep totally stable because, well, it just won't, basically. It'll move a little bit. But you do your best to keep your neck relaxed, like your head fairly upright. Okay, so just to recap, you sit down either on a cushion so you're comfortable, or on a chair with your feet flat on the floor, and then you rotate your gaze, not so fast that everything's a blur, but at sufficient speed that you can just about take in what you see and that it's at the furthest periphery that you can reach without moving your head. You go in one direction, you have a 1 minute break, and then you go in the other direction, then you take a break. Okay. Good luck with the eye rotation exercise. Feel free to write and let me know how it goes in the comments below. And I will continue this series with some more eye exercises soon. And of course, feel free to check out my website, bioenergetics.org.uk, where you'll find online courses and ways to get in touch with me if you want to book a session, and also links to my books on Amazon. Okay, as ever, thank you very much for tuning in, and see you again soon for some more body-based therapy.